After a week off, the Upper Peninsula International Raceway gets back to action with paying tribute to one of the greatest drivers to ever emerge from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in Bob Iverson. Hi, I'm Todd Rose here at the Bob Iverson Memorial Race at the Upper Peninsula International Raceway. Like I said, paying tribute to one of the greatest drivers to ever come from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with Bob Iverson. His car's out on the front stretch right now. Fans are going to be able to see that throughout the day. And the action on the track should be mighty exciting as we enter the final stages of the 2020 points chase here at the Upper Peninsula International Raceway. We'll have the highlights from the Bob Iverson Memorial Race here at the Upper Peninsula International Raceway just ahead on the Rose Racing Report. During a short break during feature racing, the Iverson family surrounded Bob's car. Bob Iverson's legacy will continue for years to come with memorial races and several generations of Iversons following in his footsteps on track. Brody Steinhauer in the 71 rocketed to the lead in the Riverside Auto Group Youth Microsprint feature with the 19A of Carson Artley and 9 Carl Warm following him. But just laps into the race, it all came to an end for Steinhauer on the backstretch as his car slowed and came to a halt in the infield. Following the restart, Carl Warm took a look to the outside of Artley through 1 and 2, and he would grab the lead on the backstretch just moments later. As the white flag flew, Ethan Manninen in the 1 and Mason Cagino in the 103 came together battling for third. Taking advantage of the incident was Griffin Iverson in the 52 as he moved into third with a thank you very much. Carl Warm, meanwhile, was rounding turns 3 and 4 to take the win, while Carson Artley followed in second. Griffin Iverson was third. The Sportsman Microsprint feature got off to a rocky start as number 1 Trevor Denome, number 44 Gunnar Hansen, and 80 Drake Dagnan had it coming together in turn 1. They would all continue. Brennan Swanson in the 20 would check out after the restart and looked like he'd be sailing to a clean win, but a spin by Luke Lobb would bunch things up for a sprint to the finish. Swanson would have to hold off Brett Lobb in the 23, one of the best in the Sportsman division if he wanted to win. Lobb made several attempts to take the lead, but Brennan Swanson would hold on to win his second feature in a row at UPIR and third on the season. Brett Lobb was second in a nice recovery from last week, with Gunnar Hansen third. The Getchell Builders 600 Microsprint feature would get off to a wild lap 1 as Rick Ness stumbled on the start. Then Paul Hosking spun out of turn 4. Drivers had to check up and look out for each other as the yellow flag flew. Back to green, the 101 of Tony Beauchamp assumed the lead while the pack diced it up behind him. His time in the front would be short-lived, though, as he would find the limit out of turn 4, spinning from the lead as everyone behind avoided him. The intense action continued when the racing resumed, with Matt Peterson in the 42 finding trouble in turn 2 next. He would continue and the race would stay green after he made this incredible save. Greg Bryack in the 26 stepped away from the field, but like the Sportsman race earlier, that lead would soon be erased as the 32 of Austin Berg would spin in turn 3. Again, no contact was made and Berg rejoined the field. 2 and 3 wide battles persisted through the race after the restart, but up front it was Greg Bryack holding off a charging Paul Hosking for the win. Kevin Warm would move up 9 spots from the start to finish in third. The 2 and 3 wide action continued in the vintage modified feature next as Herbie Iverson led a snarling pack of cars in the early going. Charlie Peterson in the 29 looped it, exiting turn 4, bringing out the race's first yellow flag. Charlie would right it and continue on. A stack up on the restart caused a pileup, collecting Scott Dagnan in the 75, the 93 of Alan Yell, and Fred Miner in the 25. All 3 drivers would continue. The field was re-racked, and the next attempt at a restart was clean. Nick Pionar in the 454 took the lead on the back stretch from Herbie Iverson, while Scott Dagnan would try to follow him through. That door would close quickly. The next yellow flag would fly for a spinning Jake Valaket in turn 4. Dave Broders did his best to narrowly avoid the spinning number 2. Scott Dagnan would grab the lead on the restart, while the battle for second would heat up between Dan Lambert in the 4 and Nick Pienaar. With just a handful of laps, Lambert slowed, with Pienaar and Jesse Denome in the 0 taking advantage of his woes. He would recover and hold on for a 4th place finish. Scott Dagnan etched another mark in the win column as Jesse Denome got the better of Nick Pienaar for second. Synchronized spins by leaders Kurt Schwabach and Andy Brandstrom brought out an early yellow in the A&L Iron and Metal Street Stock feature. The result, a UPIR big one on the front stretch. Tyler Winling in the 51, who would put in a great showing, led the field back to green, but the spot would soon change hands as the A40 of Ron Genshak took the spot on the outside. Winling would then be part of one of the best battles in recent memory at UPIR as he, Paul Wagner in the 5, and Billy Bowden in the 16 scrapped for second. It was pick and choose your lane Saturday night as the track provided multi-groove racing in pretty much every division. Tyler Corwin in the 64 would have a tense moment exiting turn 4 as his rear end would step out on him. Nick Leisner would pounce in the 23 to take the spot from him on the back straightaway. Back in the battle for second, Paul Wagner was finally able to get under Tyler Winling to grab the spot. Meanwhile, the Rocket was in his own zip code on his way to the win. Wagner followed in second with Winling in third. Jamie Iverson led the field to an early race, the restart in the Binks Coca-Cola Sport Modified feature in what turned out to be an action-packed race. While the number 65G of Frank the Tank Gasparini and Matt Mackey in the 15 battled for third, Russ Franks in the 77 was about to have an extreme close call with the turn 1 tires. In slow motion, you can see just how close it was to disaster for Russ Franks. Back up front, Matt Valaket had managed to wrestle the lead away from Jamie Iverson. Another caution would fly soon after for Paul Hosking and Jimmy Cool's 39C. Hosking replaced Cool in the car after Cool was involved in an incident in his heat. In a post on Facebook, Jimmy Cool stated he had been knocked unconscious in the seemingly innocent incident. As such, he was not medically cleared for the race. Hosking would rejoin the action. Another driver in a different ride was Lonnie Dalgord. Dalgord had trouble in his heat, and Jeff Solomon would offer up his seat in the 69 so Lonnie could keep in the points chase. A three-wide battle for second between Frank Gasparini, Jamie Iverson, and Matt Mackey went the way of the tank, while Mackey would slow in turn 3. He would eventually end his night in the pits. Matt Valaket would take the checkered flag while Frank Gasparini grabbed second in an awesome showing, while Rick Gustafson took third for his second podium finish in 3 appearances at UPIR. It should come as no surprise that the Island Resort and Casino Sport Compact feature would be off the charts wild. A turn 1 stack-up saw Evan Gagne get the worst of things as he would take his car to the infield. Wayne Corwin in the 63 and Ryan Mathieson in 49 would butt heads on the front stretch. Then Kyle Mathieson would end his feature in turn 2 as his car came to a stop. However, it was a miracle he was in the race at all, after he tumbled down the back straightaway after contact with James Risk in his heat. He was all right. On the restart, things stayed intense as Matt Adams in the 4, Alex Constantino in the 80, and Adam Broman in the 3B all got together. Constantino slowed, and James Risk went flying over him. Slow motion shows just how lucky Risk was to not go over in a big way. Adams assumed the lead on the restart, but Adam Brome would come knocking on the inside. He would take the spot as the 71 of Nathan Price, 2C of Jared Lanaville, and Ryan Mathieson battled 3 wide for third. Lanaville would go on to battle Matt Adams for third in the closing stages of the race. The two would swap the spot a few times, with Matt Adams eventually taking the third position. Adam Brome would hold on to take the win with a quietly impressive Brian Watska in second. Matt Adams would cross the line third. Only 1 week of racing remains in August, and it is championship night for the Upper Peninsula International Raceway. The on-track action, as it has been recently, should be intense as the title of champion is decided for each division. The season, however, doesn't end there as the Upper Peninsula International Raceway hosts a 2-day UPIR Fall Classic September 11th and 12th. Aside from increased payouts, it's been announced the IMCA stock cars will return to action at UPIR. While the season is winding down, there's still plenty of action to catch in the weeks ahead.